Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm literally just going to be doing a wrap up of all the books that I read in March. And it's probably going to be a bit late because I am rubbish, but I do have quite a few books to talk about. I did manage to read 10 books in March, but I'm also going to include 2 that I read at the end of February just because it's one big series. So I will start with that, but I do have a vlog coming out of that series, so I don't want to go too into detail about it, but anyway, we'll get to that when we get to it. So yeah, we're literally just going to do a March wrap up, my thoughts, feelings, what I liked, what I didn't like, and let you know what I thought of the books that I read. So if you do enjoy this video, I sincerely hope you do. I really do hope you enjoy this video. Please could you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to see more of my videos. I try and upload once a week. I'm trying to do 2 a week, but it's not going good. Yeah, so let's just dive right in because I got a lot of books to talk about and I'm quite excited about talking about some of these. So yes, let's just get to it. All right. Okay, so the first, I'm going to talk about the series first, just because it was like one of the biggest series that I read throughout the last month and a half, and I tabbed it all so it looks real pretty. I'm pretty sure you just saw what it was. How good does all those tabs look? I think it looks so nice. Yes, it is the A Court of Thorn and Roses series. I was going to say trilogy, but it's not a trilogy anymore. Yeah, I'd never read any of them before. I do have an ACOTAR reading vlog coming out, but that's like a big video and it's taken quite a long time to edit. So I thought I would quickly put these up before the ACOTAR reading vlog, just because otherwise the March wrap-up's going to be like in May. Like, it's not going to go well. So yes, I do have a reading vlog coming for all these books, and all my thoughts and what I liked and didn't like coming in that video, but I will just do a quick little update here for you guys because yeah. So the first 2 I actually read in the end of February, the last week of February. I never read any of these before, so I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I gave this 4 out of 5, but now that I've read the rest, I probably would give it like a 3 out of 5, if that makes sense, just because it's such a narrow perspective, and the world just opens up so much further. And I know that's always the case with like the first book of a series, but yeah, I think if I were to reread it again, it would be a 3. But I'm sticking with my 4 because I did enjoy it at the time. This was a 5 out of 5. Absolutely loved it. This was my favourite in the series. Hands down. Easily my favourite. This made me cry a lot at the end. I'm not going to do any spoilers because there are people who have never read it. I never read it until last month, so yeah, I don't want to do any spoilers, but it made me cry quite a lot and I did love it. I loved all the characters. This I gave 3.5 out of 5, but I don't really know why it was made. Like, what's the point in this book? If you don't know, it's like a short novella for after the ending of this, and nothing really happens at all in it, like at all. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing like the aftermath of all the characters and, you know, after the war and everything, and it was just a nice little easy read, you know, for one afternoon, but I didn't understand why it was written. To be honest, I feel like it could have just been 2 long chapters at the end of A Court of Wings and Ruin, like, to be honest. So yeah, 3.5. I enjoyed it, but and then this big chunky boy, this took me about a week to read just because it did. It just took me a week to read. I had difficulties with this book. So I gave it 4 out of 5 in total, and it has fantastic mental health representation. So off the bat, I'm really happy with that because I myself struggle with mental health issues, and you know, it's not the same mental health issues that Nesta is going through, but I appreciate the representation and that we are talking about it. I thought that was fantastic. I really enjoyed the friendship group. One sec, my mum was calling. Hello? Okay, I need to go pick up my dog quickly. My mum's walking her and she's getting tired because she's only a puppy. So I will be back to talk about the rest of this, and I will talk a little bit more about this when I get back. Okay, hey guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just had to nip to pick up my dog, and then we also nipped to the pet shop because she needed more food. Okay, so I'm back. I'm ready to talk about books. Where were we? I was talking about this, wasn't I? What did I mention? Oh my god, I can't remember what I was talking about. Yes, the friendship group. So there are 2 new characters introduced in this book. 2 female characters. I won't go into detail because I want it to be a surprise to you guys, but I absolutely adore their friendship group with Nesta. Like, I love it. I absolutely, honestly, if I could have a friendship group like that go through such difficult things together, and it's wonderful. Honestly, it's wonderful. I struggled a little bit with the romance between Cassian because it just seemed extremely forced and very, very dirty. There are a lot of sex scenes in this book. It is definitely not young adult anymore. It is definitely adult fantasy. So please keep that in mind when you are deciding to read this book. If you are not into spicy literature, this might not be appropriate, but I did struggle a little bit with the romance because it was just pure smut. Basically, there wasn't really emotions involved. Yeah, and I struggle with that because if I'm reading a romance, for me to really connect, it has to be like, they have to be emotionally vulnerable with one another. That's just me personally. But it is very steamy and the characters are wonderful. It's really nice seeing more of Feyre and Rysand as well in like their ever after. Even though it's not from their perspective, you do get to see snippets of them, and that's really lovely. So 4 out of 5 in total. Definitely not my favourite, but not my least favourite, so kind of somewhere in the middle. Yes, so I do have a reading vlog coming out, but I don't know when that's going to be just because it's taken me so long to edit this video. Honestly, it's taken me forever. So yeah, we'll just talk about that later. Next, I want to talk about this book. So this is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moerno-Garcia. I read it just before I started. I read it in between some of the ACOTAR books just because I was a bit fantasied out at the time and I wanted a bit of something different, which this definitely is something different. I initially gave this book 3.5 out of 5, but now that I'm kind of thinking back to it, I'm thinking it might be more of a 4 out of 5, but like if I could give it a 3.75, that's what I would give it. Honestly, that's how I'm feeling. It was incredibly eerie and atmospheric. Really wonderful gothic vibes. I absolutely adored the main character. I want to say it's Noemi, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it anyway. I loved her character, and you really, like, Silvia Moerno-Garcia's writing of her character was so, like, in depth and so detailed. You really feel like you got to know her character, and I loved her. Honestly, I really connected with her character quite a lot. I really loved her. With that being said though, I hated the way she was treated in this book. There is a lot of sexism, abuse. Like, there are a lot of trigger warnings for this book, like sexual abuse, murder of babies. There's literally so many trigger warnings for this book, so I would definitely, I've got a review of this up on my blog, which is linked down in the description box below, and on it I've listed all the trigger warnings, so if you want to go and read that, I go a little bit in depth more as well about what I thought about it, but yeah, I have put all the trigger warnings there, so I would recommend looking at those before you're reading this. But with all that being said, I really did enjoy this book. I did enjoy it, but I just had difficulties, especially with the ending. I felt like the ending just went off on one. Like, it just went off on a tangent and I could not keep up, honestly. It was difficult to kind of follow the ending, and I really disliked the way that Noemi was treated by the other people in the house. I just hated the other characters so much. I don't think I've ever hated other characters as much as I hated them in this book. But yeah, I'm thinking like a 3.75 out of 5. I know that's so awkward, but I just can't decide between 3.5 and 4. So yes, I would definitely recommend it, but please look up the trigger warnings. And if you are not one that to kind of be able to read mental and physical and sexual abuse, then please do not pick up this book. I would not recommend it if you are, you know, faint of heart. But if you love a good gothic thriller, this is definitely that. It's a really fantastic mystery. I did not expect the ending at all. That just came out of nowhere. But yeah, really good. I would recommend it. Now I've got 3 more physical books here, but I did read 3 non-physical books. I read A Deal Will... I did read A Deal Will... A Deal with the Elf King. Why can I not say that? I read this on my Kindle by Elina Kova. I'm sorry, I can't remember. I'll list it all below. Yes, you know what? I feel like this might be a little guilty pleasure book. I thoroughly really enjoyed it. Like, I think I gave it like a 4.5 out of 5. I loved it, but I've heard a lot of people do really bad reviews and they did not enjoy it, which is fine. You know, everyone has their own opinions, but oh my gosh, I honestly love this book so much. So it follows the story of and it just makes me happy. Honestly, it's one of those books that just made me really happy reading it. It follows the story of a young girl who is a healer. She heals with like herbs and plants and things in this small town, and every like 100 years or something, and the elves have to take a woman from this village, and the woman becomes the elf king's bride. And it's like a treaty between the elves and the humans, and it's what's keeping the peace. And obviously this healer is the bride of the new elf king, and it is a slow burn enemies to lovers romance in a fantastical elven world. I loved the main character so much. Like, honestly, this book just made me really happy. I know a lot of people haven't enjoyed it that much, and that's fine, but I've just come to realize that with my books, I really love a slow burn enemies to lovers romance where there's just the two of them, like you know, not a great deal of characters if it's just the two, and a lot of the time when they're kind of on an adventure somewhere. So like Enchantment of Ravens I loved, the Bone Houses I loved, and those are all slow burn and like enemies to lovers, or like strangers to lovers, and they're on an adventure somewhere, and I just love it. Honestly, I love it. It's one of my favourite tropes, and yeah, I gave it 4.5 out of 5, and I'm not ashamed because it just made me extremely happy when I was reading it, and I would definitely recommend it if you like that kind of sweet romance. Yeah, and I loved the main character. I loved the main protagonist. I thought she was wonderful. I thought she was really well written, well rounded out, and again, I just really loved it. So 4.5 out of 5. I don't know whether to talk about these next. I'll talk about these next because I'm pretty sure I read 2 books, the 2 first books of a trilogy, and I am like 99% sure that this is going to be one of my new favourite series of all times, and it was so incredible. I listened to them on audiobook, so it is the Shadow of the Fox trilogy by Julie Kagawa. So I listened to Shadow of the Fox, which is the first one, and then Soul of the Sword, which is the second one, and I'm currently just listening to Night of the Dragon, which is the third one now, and I'm dreading it finishing because honestly I have had the best time reading this series. Like, hands down, it has been one of my favourite series I think I've ever read / listened to, and I'm so upset that I don't have a physical copy, so I'm gonna have to sort that out. Honestly, it's fantastic, and the audiobook portrayal performance was incredible. There are 3 narrators reading the book because there are 3 perspectives in the book, so there's a narrator for each book, which I think is fantastic as well. That just adds more depth, and every single performance was incredible. Honestly, I love this book. Please read this book. It's so good, the whole series. So yeah, it follows the story of Yumeko, which she is a kitsune, which is like a fox spirit. Not spirit, like it's almost like a demon, but not a demon. She's like half fox, half human, and she has magic, kitsune magic, which is like shadows and illusions. And she basically is brought up in a temple, the Silent Winds temple, and she doesn't realise it, but all the monks within the temple are guarding a piece of the dragon scroll, which is every 1,000 years a dragon comes and wishes the bearer of the 3 pieces of the dragon scroll any wish that they desire of any magnitude, and basically people who tend to go for it tend to be the bad guys. So they're trying to protect it from being used again in the future, and demons come and attack the temple for said scroll. I hope I haven't said too much. That's like literally the first 50 pages though, so it's right at the beginning. And then basically she is tasked with getting the scroll to safety to another temple, and on the way she meets a group of all different people. Like, honestly, I think my favourite part of this book, one, I just love Yumeko so much. She is a wonderful character. She's so heartwarming and innocent, but feisty and strong, and I just love her. But also just the group itself is so well-rounded. I love every single character, especially Okame. He is so funny. He is a Ronin, which is like a disgraced samurai, and he is hilarious. Honestly, I love his character so much. And there is a kind of enemies to lovers romance as well. Surprise, surprise. Oh, please read it. Please listen to it. Honestly, it's so good. I truly wholeheartedly recommend this series, and I can't wait to finish it, but also I'm really dreading finishing it. And it is honestly one of, I think, the best series that I've ever read. Like, up there with my favourite series. So please, if you read anything this year, please let it be that trilogy. Okay, I think I've spoken enough about that. But yeah, you need to read it. And if you don't want to physically read it, I would definitely recommend the audiobook because it was fantastic as well. And then, now onto physical books. I read Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Now this is the first in a trilogy. I'm currently reading the second one, but I actually read these on my Kindle just because I had them on there as well, and I didn't want to break the spines. So I thought if I had them on my Kindle, I might as well read them on there. But yeah, I have read the first one. I think I gave it either a 4 or a 4.5 out of 5, somewhere around that kind of area. Need a drink, I'm thirsty. This follows the story of a young girl called Caro, K-A-R-O-U. I say Caro, I'm pretty sure it's Caro. Anyway, her life is split between two worlds, one of the human world and one of a fantasy world, where she was brought up by a group of creatures called Chimera, and they are like creatures made up of bits of all animals and humans. And they can either be human aspect or animal aspect. So if it's a human aspect, they're more human than they are animal, and then vice versa with animal aspect. And they can be literally anything from like part snake with lion legs, or, you know, just like anything. And she's brought up in that world, and she collects teeth for Brimstone, who is the chimera who raised her. And there's obviously a lot more to that story, but yeah, she's stuck between these two worlds, kind of figuring out what she wants to do with her life. And then she meets up, I say meets up, kind of thrown together with a fiery-eyed male called Akiva. And I don't want to tell you too much about that, but it's kind of like a star-crossed lovers thing going on. And yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh, there you go, that's Brimstone. He's like the guy, I'd say the chimera who raised Caro. That's what he looks like. So he is animal aspect, and he looks like a goat. Yeah, it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I did have moments that I didn't enjoy, specifically the romance with Akiva was just very sudden. It was like, bam, we're in love, and I just struggled a little bit with the romance, but that was it. So, but no, I really enjoyed it, and this is again part of a trilogy, so I'm currently reading the second one, so hopefully by the end of next month's wrap up I should be able to tell you about the other two. But yeah, no, I did really enjoy it, and I would definitely recommend it. The writing is impeccable, it's beautiful. It's my first Laini Taylor novel. I've not read one before. I do have The Stranger the Dreamer duology as well, but I haven't read those yet, so really enjoying it, would recommend. I then finally finished Persuasion by Jane Austen. I felt like I was reading this forever, because I was for about a month, and I just kept putting it off because I wanted to read like fantasy and I love classics normally, but I just was not in the mood for a classic at the time. I was really enjoying my fantasy reads, but I finally did finish it and I loved it. I gave it 4 out of 5. Yeah, really enjoyed it. It's a lovely classic. It's sad at times, but I loved the main characters. I would have liked to see more. It was a bit short for my liking. I wanted to see more afterwards, but no, it was fantastic, and it's a classic. If you struggle with classic literature, I think that Jane Austen is a really good one to start with, to broach in, because her writing is a lot easier than, say, like Charles Dickens, or, you know, they're much more difficult to read. So Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters are really nice. I say easy, but they're easy in comparison to other classic literature authors. So yeah, really enjoyed that. And then the last book that I read this month, and I did do it in a little bit of a reading vlog, so you might see that soon, but I read Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid, and I was just really fancying a contemporary novel. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 in total, and that was just because I just realised that I forgot to turn my light on this entire time. It's back on now. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry if the lighting was rubbish in that video. I completely forgot to turn my light on after I came back from getting my dog. Okay, yes, Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid. I did enjoy it, but it did not, in my opinion, follow what I thought it would be based off the synopsis. Does that make sense? I feel like it doesn't make a single lick of sense. Yeah, I read the synopsis and I was expecting a certain book, and it was not the book that I was expecting. So I'll read the synopsis and I'll let you figure out what you think it would be. So, when Amira is apprehended at a supermarket for kidnapping the white child she's actually babysitting, her employer Alex resolves to make things right. So begins a crash course that will upend everything they think they know about themselves, each other, and the messy dynamics of privilege. Now, those things were covered throughout this book. I'm not saying that it was completely different to the synopsis, obviously. It was covered, but I just found that it kind of became more of a stalker situation between Alex and Amira. Alex just became unnecessarily obsessed with her babysitter, Amira, and it got a bit weird, basically. The second-hand embarrassment that I got from this book made me so uncomfortable at times that when I finished, I was so glad that I didn't have to go through it anymore. There were so many scenes where I was just like literally hiding under my blanket, like I cannot read this is so uncomfortable. And I don't do well with uncomfortable situations. My partner will attest to that. He knows what I'm like, especially with like uncomfortable situations in TV and things like that. I really struggle. But no, I did enjoy it. It was very fast paced. The writing was wonderful. But yeah, 3.5 out of 5 for me personally. I kind of didn't really care about Alex all that much. I wanted to hear more about Amira personally. That was, I think, my only gripe. Yes. I think that's all 10. I had a really good reading month, especially with Shadow of the Fox. My top recommendation for this month is the Shadow of the Fox trilogy. Please, please, please listen to it / read it. It's so good. Yes, so that's everything. I'm sorry that my lighting was off for the majority of this video. I'm an idiot. And I can't be bothered refilming it all. And I've got another video to film straight after this, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. All my other social medias are linked down below if you are interested in any of my other content that I create. Thank you so much for being here, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Alright, bye guys.